Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to break down how to create a single, incredibly powerful cinematic shot that tells a story all on its own. We'll be looking at a scene Ivy put together that's designed to build maximum suspense and dread in just 10 seconds. So, if you're an aspiring filmmaker, a cinematographer, or just love the art behind a good scare, you're going to want to stick around for this. Let's set the stage. Imagine a massive, lightless subterranean cavern. It's hundreds of meters deep, so vast you can't see the ceiling or the far walls. They're just swallowed by darkness. The floor is covered in a shallow, perfectly still pool of black water, acting like a mirror. The air is cold, stale, and completely silent. The mood we're aiming for is vast, isolated, and deeply foreboding. Our characters are Dr. Elias, a seasoned speleologist in his late 50s, and Kate, a younger geologist in her 30s. They're standing on a narrow rock shelf at the edge of this black pool, and they are terrified. Now, let's talk about the gear. For this shot, we're using an ARRI Alexa 65 with a 25mm signature prime lens. Why this combo? The Alexa 65 gives us that high-resolution, wide-angle cinematic feel that's crucial for showing the immense scale of the cavern. We're shooting in 4K at 60 frames per second. The higher frame rate will allow us to create incredibly smooth slow motion if we want, which enhances that feeling of dread and suspense. It makes every tiny movement feel deliberate and significant. Let's break down the shot, second by second, from 0 to 4 seconds. The camera starts on our characters and performs a slow, sweeping dolly out. This movement is key. It pulls away from Elias and Kate, revealing just how small and vulnerable they are in this massive, oppressive space. They are completely frozen, their bodies rigid with fear, listening for something in the darkness. This establishes their immediate peril and the unseen threat. The audience is immediately asking, what are they so afraid of? From 4 to 7 seconds, the camera holds on a static wide shot. The vastness of the cavern is now fully established. In this stillness, Kate slowly, almost mechanically, raises a trembling hand and points directly down into the black water. Her movement is the only thing happening, which draws all our attention to it. It's a classic show, don't tell moment. We don't know what she sees, but her reaction tells us it's something horrifying. During this moment, at the 6-second mark, we get a single, brief flash of green bioluminescence from under the water. It's a subtle hint that something is alive down there. From 7 to 10 seconds, the camera begins a very slow push-in, focusing entirely on the surface of the water where Kate is pointing. This shift in focus is critical. We've gone from wide and epic to tight and intimate. The audience's gaze is now locked on the water, mirroring Kate's. Then, a single, slow ripple expands outward from an unseen source. It breaks the perfect stillness of the water, confirming that something is moving just beneath the surface. To cap it all off, from second 8 to 10, we hear Kate's terrified, barely audible whisper, It just moved." This line is the final nail in the coffin, confirming the audience's worst fears. Lighting is absolutely fundamental to this scene's atmosphere. The only light sources are the two narrow, bright beams from the characters' headlamps. These beams cut through the darkness, hitting the water and the immediate rock shelf, but leaving everything else in absolute black. The light has a cold, stark, white-blue tone, which feels clinical and unnatural, enhancing the sense of unease. The reflections of these beams on the perfectly still water create a beautiful but eerie visual that gets shattered by the ripple. We'll also add some atmospheric haze and digital dust motes in post-production, which will catch the light and give a better sense of depth and scale to the cavern. The contrast between the camera movement and the action is what really sells the suspense. The camera moves with a smooth, deliberate grace, almost like a silent observer. We'd use a cinematic crane or a dolly on a track to achieve this. This calm, controlled movement is in direct opposition to the raw, intense fear of the characters. This juxtaposition makes their terror feel even more palpable. The ultra-realistic rendering style, with crisp 4K detail and perfect water physics, grounds the scene in reality, making the unbelievable threat feel all the more real. So, Let's recap the key elements that make this 10-second shot work. First, the scale. We use a wide lens and camera movement to establish a vast, intimidating environment. Second, the unknown threat. We never show the creature. We only hint at its presence through character reactions, a flash of light, and a ripple in the water. The audience's imagination will always create something far scarier than what we could show. Third, the sound design. The overwhelming silence is broken only by a single, whispered line of dialogue, making it incredibly impactful. And finally, the deliberate pacing. Every movement, both from the camera and the characters, is slow and intentional, allowing the suspense to build and build to a breaking point. This shot is a perfect example of how you can build a world, introduce a conflict, and create powerful emotions in a very short amount of time. It's all about making conscious, deliberate choices with your camera, lighting, and sound to guide the audience's experience. You're not just showing them a scene, you're making them feel the cold, the isolation, and the fear right alongside the characters. That's the magic of cinematic storytelling. I hope this breakdown was helpful and gave you some ideas for your own projects. Building suspense is an art form, and sometimes, less is truly more. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the scene, or if you have any questions about the techniques we discussed. What do you think is lurking in that water? I'd love to hear your theories. Thanks so much for watching. Sound of labored, panicked breathing and wet, scraping sounds of clothing against rock log entry 47, 48. I don't know anymore. It's Dr. Elias Vance. My gear is failing. Compass is spinning uselessly. Comms have been dead for days. The date on my watch feels like a cruel joke. I descended into the maw. They called it a new cave system discovered by satellite imaging in the Urals. They promised it was a geological marvel, a chance to rewrite the books on subterranean formation. They didn't mention it doesn't want to be mapped. It doesn't want us here. Breathing gets heavier. A slight cough. The initial descent was textbook. We were a team of 4. Reese, Lena, Ben. Solid people. Top of their fields. We were making good time, cataloging crystalline structures I'd only ever dreamed of. Then the first tremor hit. Not a seismic event, not in the geological sense. It was a hum. A vibration that came from the rock itself, like a living thing shifting in its sleep. Ben was the first to go. He was rigging a line across a chasm when his anchor just dissolved. The rock turned to a black, viscous sludge right before our eyes. He didn't even have time to scream. Just a look of utter disbelief as he fell into the dark. We should have turned back then. We should have abandoned the expedition and scrambled for the surface. But we were in shock. And then, the way back was gone. The passage we'd come through had sealed itself. Not a rockfall. It was a smooth, seamless closure, as if the tunnel had never existed. Panic set in. Reese, our navigator, tried to find an alternate route. He was convinced his charts, our LiDAR scans, had to show another way. But the cave, it changes. I'd go ahead to scout a narrow passage. And when I'd turn back, the path would be different. Walls would have shifted, new tunnels appeared, old ones vanished. It's playing with us, hunting us. Lena was next. She was a biologist, fascinated by the strange fungal growths on the walls. She started seeing things, faces in the mold. She said, whispers that echoed when no one was talking. I thought the isolation was getting to her. Then, one morning, if you can call it that, in this endless night, I woke up and she was gone. All that was left was her helmet, the light still on, pointed at a section of wall where the black mold had grown into a perfect spiral pattern. It pulsed with a faint, sickly green light. It was hypnotic. I had to tear myself away. So now it's just me. I've been crawling for what feels like an eternity. The air is thick, hard to breathe, and smells of wet earth and something else. Something metallic and rotten. The walls are no longer just rock. They're slick, almost organic, and they drip with a dark fluid that sizzles when it hits my suit. My headlamp is the only thing keeping the absolute, total darkness at bay. But sometimes I think the darkness is safer. In the beam of my light, I see things, quick movements at the edge of the illumination, shapes that don't belong here. I caught a glimpse of something a while ago, deep in a side tunnel, 2 points of light, reflecting my lamp. They weren't mineral deposits. They were eyes, and they were watching me. A long, shaky exhale. The sound of dripping water intensifies. I'm in a passage now that's barely wider than my shoulders. I have to exhale just to squeeze through. The rock scrapes against my ribs, my back. Claustrophobia is a physical weight, pressing down on me, trying to crush me. I keep hearing a sound, a low, guttural clicking. It's getting closer. It's not an echo of my own movements. It's intelligent. It's following me. I have to keep moving. I can't stop. To stop is to die. But every inch I crawl feels like I'm just moving deeper into its throat. I'm not a scientist anymore. I'm prey. This cave. It's not a geological formation. It's a digestive tract. And it's feeding. I don't know if this log will ever be found. Maybe I'm just talking to myself, a last desperate act of a man losing his mind. But if anyone finds this, if anyone picks up this signal, for God's sake, seal the entrance. Bury it. Erase this place from every map and every record. Don't come looking for us. Don't make the same mistake we did. Leave it to the darkness. Leave it to a sudden, sharp scraping sound, much closer now. A pause in the breathing. What was that? It's close. Oh God, it's so close. I can hear it breathing. It's right behind me. Sound of frantic scrambling. Panic gasps out, closing parenthesis now. No, no, no. Get away from me, get back. A single, raw, blood-curdling scream that is abruptly cut off, followed by a wet, crunching sound, and then silence. Only the faint, steady drip of water remains.